Welcome to another episode here of the Whiskey Wisemen. I'm here with Money Mike and Dr. Joe. We have a very, very special kind of offering tonight. We're going to kind of dabble into old Fitz. We've got the new one that just released, the 7-year bottled in bond. The bag
hot off the shelves.
It is. I'm talking. If you've seen this bag, you kind of touch it. It is absolutely sexy.
Is it warm?
So
because it's right off the shelf.
Yeah,
warm?
it could be. Yeah, hot
This
off the
thing
presses.
This thing is
hot off the presses.
beautiful, man.
All right, we have other bottles, guys. Go ahead, John.
Oh yeah.
You forgot. You got distracted there.
Yeah. I kind of got caught up here looking at the bag and the bottle. But we also have an offering of, which one is that? The 8-year fall release of, what year is that? It should be on the tax ticket. We'll have to look at that.
I think it's last year. It's there.
Yeah.
I saw it. Let me see it. It's fall of 2023. So and that one's spring of 2023.
Okay. Yeah. So an 8-year fall, and then we have a 10-year spring of 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one thing's clear for anybody who's watching that can see that on there. We're not a huge fan of these. That's why they're so full still.
Yep.
Dude, these are one of my favorites, man.
I mean, this is really Heaven Hill's creme de la creme, right? They don't.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that Heaven Hill, actually just picked up Old Fitz in '99, I believe, or something. They actually kind of bought it and absorbed it in, and then I think these releases that we're seeing here started barreled like 2006 or something like that. So, Old Fitz has a long history. I mean, it goes way back to the Pappy days, and everybody kind of changing the mass bill to like a whisper of wheat. That was the big thing. For Old Fitz back in probably the early 1900s is that
you don't have a sound effect for that, like a whisper of wheat. You had the roar on our.
I don't have one for that, but definitely
pursuit. I'm just thinking a whisper of wheat here.
Oh yeah.
Now these are weeders, correct?
Yes, they are. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So to answer your question, you do like some weeders because we love this.
Actually, I do.
Yeah. So which one do you guys want to start with? Do we want to start with the new kid on the block?
I think so.
The 7-year, and then we'll work our way up to the 10-year.
I think so. I mean, that's my opinion. I do think it's kind of cool how they did this kind of the same neck style from the decanter ones. It doesn't have like the glass topper or anything like that.
Well, they didn't put this little thing here that has someone's picture on it. Did we figure out who that was?
No.
I mean, I'm going to take a shot and say that that's old Fitzgerald.
Is that a real person?
Yes.
It was?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
maybe. We'll start with this one, and then what are we talking about today, guys?
We're talking about a few things. Talk about a little bit about life, some sports.
Life. We're talking about that again.
Man, I'm telling you.
How about that game last night, man?
How about those Knicks?
Ooh, rough time.
Ready for the pop? Ready? That's a good one.
I mean, that's a rough way to go down, to be up and then
did
it force an overtime on like a crazy shot like that.
I thought for sure that it was going to be, Knicks would win that one. I mean, it's just the way it goes. That's why you play the games,
That's right. Well, I mean, Knicks won't even make it probably to Game 6, so.
I don't know. I think the Knicks.
You told me before you thought they're going to win the whole thing.
I do. I got.
There's no way, man.
Them.
Oh, you need me to have?
Got a good film.
Ready. Always have one on standby, So this is basically same mash bill, same everything, bottled and bond, and just different years.
Yeah, it's 7-year.
I would like to see, maybe the next time if we want to kind of put these up against something is that we go against the Heaven Hill
7-year.
7-year, the newer offering that they have against this one, and kind of,
it does smell delicious.
Do some comparison.
Dude, it does smell a lot like the Heaven Hill.
You know what would be an interesting blind is if we blinded these and tried to guess the year.
I would get last place again. Apparently, it does. The nose is almost exact, if I remember correctly, of the Heaven Hill 7-year. Which, did you know that they're doing store picks now of those?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a good one. So good. Yeah, Mike and I went actually to a Heaven Hill tasting. Remember?
Yes, that was
We did a
awesome.
Heaven Hill tasting at the Good Pour, which we've talked about before. Huge shout out to them. What do we taste there?
We got some pictures of that. We might be able to...
Yeah, I could throw them in there.
Yeah.
We had mellow corn.
It started with mellow corn.
It
It was
mellow
like a
corn,
menu of...
Which, interestingly, I was like, oh, I didn't, I'd never had it. And, for $20, it's not terrible.
You ended up buying a bottle.
I did buy a bottle, yeah. Which is corn whiskey, but not bourbon. Yeah. And then they had, what else did they have? They had, they had Heaven Hill, obviously. I know they had a third one, and then they brought out the Old Fitz. What year was that one? 23?
It was an 8-year, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was either 8 or 9 or 10, one of the three.
What was the other one we had that was not? I did not like.
I can't remember.
I didn't like it. It was bad.
Yeah, there was one that nobody liked. This is good though, but it reminds me of the Heaven Hill 7-year. It might even be. No, you don't like it?
I think it's way better than the Heaven Hill 7-year.
Really?
I do. I think it's way better. I like everything about it. I mean, honestly, this surprised me. I thought it was going to be just an offering that Heaven Hill was going to throw out to move some bottles and get some, get some things moving, get a little hype going. But this is actually a really good
That's
offering.
just a regular Heaven Hill, though, right?
Yeah.
You want to do it?
We might as well. I mean,
you want to do it?
Sure.
So we have the Heaven Hill 7-year here too. I thought this was at my house. I didn't think we brought it here.
We also learned that used to be allocated.
Yeah, a while ago, yes.
Yeah. The other one was Evan Williams, wasn't it?
I like Evan Williams.
I think it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
What?
Of course you would.
I do like
There
it.
was one.
Yeah, it was Evan Williams. Heaven Hill makes Evan Williams?
I think so.
Then it definitely was that. Yeah.
You have you got a couple more Glens over there, John.
All right.
Let's give this. This is it's even got a little dusty on it.
I like Heaven Hill. I think that was the first better bottle that I bought. When I started getting into this.
We can just sip out of this one if you guys want. So we don't need 3 of those.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
No?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not bad. It's just that is the different nose. What do you think?
Yes, it is a much different nose.
It is.
Here, try
I'm
it.
just. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to take away from the Heaven Hill because I think that's a great product, a great 7-year offering that they came out with. But there is a difference, especially in the nose of this new Old Fitz offering, and it is so surprising to me how good and clean this 7-year is. I mean, it's just. It is very surprising.
Is it me? Is it my vision? Or does this one to you look a little darker than that? Or does it look about the same?
No, it does.
It does look darker.
A little darker.
This looks a little darker?
Yeah. But it's not just how long they're aged, right? It's how often it's going into the barrel. And
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I like to see the difference because I mean even this one is still maybe even a little darker than this is about the same as this one.
Yeah, I mean this is bad news, really. I mean on the Old Fitz because I was hoping that it would be no good and that we could keep it for a while, but
it'll be down here.
I'll be surprised if this one lasts. Lasts through the holiday weekend.
What is the MSRP on that?
MSRP on it, I want to say is $80, $89,
all day long.
Yeah,
something like that.
All day long.
Secondary is going for like $150
though, right?
now. No, it's supposed to be a shelf.
It's supposed to be just on the shelf.
That's the whole reason they made that.
You're right, John. That's gonna be
That's
gonna be great for some stores.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a shelfer. That's the way that they came out with it and then announced it and all that. But, I mean, obviously,
that's why the bottles aren't as cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but
they're still pretty awesome.
I mean, it is cool that it came with this. Although I saw one that came with a black bag, so I don't know if it's like, and I've seen some that no bag. So I don't know if like this,
Well, that's kind of like Blanton's, right? Some of them come in a bag, some of them don't.
Yeah, it could be that too. Yeah, it could be that half out of the case come in bag and the other one doesn't. I don't know, but I saw one with a black bag and I don't know if it's like like, you know, you get green or black, or if the black was just somebody that made it up. I don't know.
Well, I'm excited if this really does just show up in the store and you can just grab it off the shelf.
For $80.
Yeah. Well, which means, you know,
Heaven Hill would be replaced, basically.
yeah. Well, we'll see it in stores in Florida in 3 or 4 years. You know?
Well, this bottle,
Patience is a virtue.
this bottle came from the West Coast, so this is very good.
Yeah, it is.
But does it really shock you though that it's good? I mean, considering they put it's Old Fitz and they put it in a bottle, you still think
I
you
do.
think it?
Yeah, it shocks me because I feel like to mass produce something like this, that sometimes the quality will take a hit. But if everything is to this standard, then Heaven Hill has just hit the jackpot. So there's no other way to say it. I mean, it's
Sorry, Brussels or Wild Turkey.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Known as a new fan.
I'm gonna try this out. This other. You know, listen, man. This is very good, also. But it's different. But it's different.
It is different. I don't want to take anything away because that Heaven Hill is a great offering. It's a great
man.
bottle. But
I mean, it's still $30 cheaper.
But it's not Old Fitz, man.
It's $30 cheaper, though.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
Listen,
it matters to some people.
well,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
What did you tell me the other day? A penny earned is a penny.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just the way it is.
no, he said.
Another day, another penny.
That's what he said.
Another day, another penny. You know, and that's the way it
Hey,
goes.
speaking of pennies, you guys hear today that they're going to stop. The Mint will stop making them because it costs more to make them than they're worth.
Yeah.
And stop distributing them.
What?
Yeah. So it won't be pennies anymore, man. You'll be like another day, another nickel. You know.
Yeah.
Dang. So what happens now? So all the denominations going to go to 5 cents?
I don't know, man. I mean, pennies are still going to be around for a while, but they're just
Yeah.
not going to produce any new ones.
That's crazy.
Well, and I imagine too that eventually it's going to make its way to the nickel and then to the dime.
Hang on a second, though.
Yeah.
You walk around with pennies to pay for shit?
I don't.
No.
Nobody walks around with pennies. You're like, oh, what are we going to do? All the prices are going to change. No one walks around with pennies.
Let me tell you something that I did one time. Oh, story time with Mike.
Oh, here we go. Dude, we need a sound effect.
Listen, dude. There was one time that I was upset at a drive-through, and I was trying to get change from, you know, like, I don't know how you buy your cars, but my car, there's always like a cluster F of just change, like in the middle thing.
You just reach there and start clawing it out.
Start clawing it out, and I'm like, man, and I was looking for I don't know what it was that I was looking for, but all I kept digging out of there was pennies, and I got so mad. And now that I think about it, I'm like, I could have just dug out like 7 pennies, and it would have been what I needed. But I was digging out pennies, and I got so mad that I threw them all out the window.
Stupid pennies, you're in my way.
Pennies out the
You
window.
know what's interesting about that, though? Honestly, I have thrown away pennies, too. Like where, you know, you're getting your change, and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to hang on to this change because, you know, you might need a quarter for the Aldi, or you go to Costco and you want a water bottle or something. So I'll keep, like, all the other ones, but I have literally, like, emptied my pockets of all my stuff at night, and then I take it out, and all it is pennies, and I just throw them in the garbage rather than, like, put them somewhere.
Yeah.
Have you ever thrown away pennies, John?
No, I don't throw away money.
Well, I don't throw away money either, but that it was like, do I want to make the walk to where this stuff would usually go, or do I just throw them in the garbage?
So what I have is, you know, in my bedroom, I've got one of those really big plastic beer jugs, you know, that are the coin holder. It's a big Coors Light bottle, and I until it's full, then I go and cash it in, you know, once a year, once every 2 years, or whatever.
I just tasted this. That's done. Not in light of this, man. That's like night and day. It's been a while since I had Heaven.
Again, it's good, but this is better.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah,
it is
way better.
I mean, but you look at the price point, you look at what it is. I think the Heaven Hill product for what it is a very good value bottle, and it's a very good offering from Heaven Hill. But I do believe, like I said, if the quality holds on this Old Fitz 7-year.
Viewers, let me tell you something, because I'm the cheapest one at this table. A few minutes ago, I said, but you know, $30 difference. So, like, maybe you just buy this because you don't want to pay for this. spend the $30 and get this. I can't say it any clearer. If you see this and you see this, go for this.
Yeah, I mean, if it's $80.
Yes, if it's 80, don't pay more than that for it.
Yeah,
it's not worth
because
Well, I don't say it's not worth it.
Well,
now.
yeah, but John will always tell you it's a good price.
All right,
Regardless.
so what's the most you pay for this?
I'd pay $150 for it.
No, you would not.
I would. I'm telling you right now,
$150?
I'd pay $150
Mike,
for it.
what else is $150 that he's paid for before? Let's compare it to that.
Oh, John, I mean, but before we get into that conversation, I paid $120 for this.
Yeah, I'd pay that. I mean,
But it's because it came from the West Coast, and it's right now secondary on this is going between 100 to 150.
You're talking about it also as a novelty, not as that was a shelfer, and they put it at $150. You'd pay $150 for that.
Right now, I would say the answer is yes. In 2 years from now, probably not. But if I found it for $150, I would buy it.
All right.
Yeah, but like I said, it's one of those things. I mean, I would put it up there. I like this a lot better than Blanton's Gold. I like this a lot better than that, and that's in the same ballpark in the dollar range. And
I paid a lot more than that for mine.
Well, Blanton's Gold MSRP is 120, right? Or 110 or something.
Yeah, if you
could
could find it though.
Well, if you can find it in some places here in Florida, but it's not
that price.
It's It's 200, 250.
I mean, I think I waited in line and paid more than that and waited overnight for it too.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. This was when Mike poured this for me. I was like, man, he poured me a heavy pour on this.
And you want a second?
I'm really glad you did because it is.
It's very good.
I mean,
it is good.
If everybody that's watching, all 15 or 20 of you, it is. You guys, I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't know if you can see it on here, but it is just. This is a great pour.
I'm going to be honest with you. You guys were talking it up when I was drinking it with you, and I mean, I thought it was good, but I was like, they're exaggerating. Like, it's not that great, And then I tasted it compared to this, which I know I haven't had this in a while, but I remember when I had this, I really liked it.
Yep.
And I was like. The contrast is there. You're like, there's so much more going on right here.
Yeah, and I'm wondering as we make our way into the older year stuff and the seasonal releases, are we going to see a big difference in not just quality but the offering and everything in between? But I do believe maybe this 7-year is the sweet spot. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is what they found is like, man, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to offer. I still think they'll probably still do these specialty releases, which is fantastic.
What's the oldest Old Fitz?
19?
Now there was one that came out in 2015 or 16.
I'm looking to see if I can find a picture of them.
It was a 20-year Stitzel Weller that Old Fitz came out with. It was in like a red and gold box.
Okay,
that one looked pretty cool. I don't know if that's the oldest one, but I know that was like 20-year. And I've seen one of the 19-year offerings from Heaven Hill that they've done.
You want? Well, you're going to hold off, or you want a little bit more of that 7?
Well, I think we need to move to the 8 just to kind of move it along here, and that way the flavors will kind of mingle as we go, and we'll be able to talk about them.
Dude, that 7 is good.
It's really good. Again, everybody, if this 7, I don't know if we're going to do maybe we'll maybe do a quick short on it or something maybe on TikTok to talk about it again. But the Old Fitz 7-year bottle and bond offering that Heaven Hill just came out with is a home run. So just be on the lookout for it. It is well worth it. Well worth it. And so we're going to compare it here against the 8-year, which was a fall of 23 release, right?
I believe so.
Yep.
Dude, I personally am a fan of Old Fitz, and gosh, this is already just on the. I mean, obviously we've had this before, but when you're having them back to back, this is already to me like the nose is so much better to me
than the 7.
Yes.
I think the nose is better, but I don't know that the taste tastes that different.
I don't think the nose is better. I think that it is earthier. I think you're getting more earth tones out of this 8-year, even in the flavor profile of it. It just.
I definitely do taste more earthy for sure.
So you guys so far you got like the 7 better than the 8?
No, I like the 8 better than the 7 personally.
Yeah. I like the 8.
I think the 8's got more going on.
Yes, to me the 8 is a little bit more.
It kind of dances on your tongue too.
Yes,
pops a little.
Yeah.
Right. But you got to remember, this is a limited release, special release. So you would hope.
I remember, John, because I had to stand outside of a liquor store all night long
waiting
to get it.
That's right, and you got it.
Also, we should explain to them why one of them has a black label and one of them has a green label, and then they do have a red label too.
Yeah, the very, very special.
So the red label is very, very special, right?
Yep.
And that comes in certain years too, right?
Yeah, I think the last one they did was a 13-year, I believe, that came out. That was supposed to be phenomenal.
We don't have one of those.
Yeah, I haven't. Anybody wants to shoot us a sample of that, we would really appreciate it. But we were lucky. We found these. We've actually found a couple of the 10-year. I think this is our second or third bottle of 10-year that we went through. But the 8-year was a very, very tough bottle to get. And really any of the old Fitz's, anytime or in Florida, are extremely tough to get.
Right.
So,
and then the green is spring.
Spring, yep.
And then black label is fall.
Fall.
Yeah. So, and they do have different. So just because it's green, it doesn't mean that it's always 10-year.
Yeah, so it's going to be whatever released that year. So they may say, okay, we've got a batch of barrels that is 12 years old or whatever. You know what I mean? So that batch will be 12-year-old. Old Fitz, spring release or whatever. That's why you see a 8, 10, 11. There's a 19 out there. There's a 9-year, I think, one of the years that they did. So, it really depends. I think it's up to the master distiller at Heaven Hill, and how they put that together is kind of what we end up with.
I will tell you what, though, for only a year difference, this is so much, to me, this is so much better. If these were both sitting there, I would reach for this all day long. Mm-hmm. It is going to be harder to get, like you said, but I think it's so much better. It, as good as it is, but they should still have those special bottle releases because they are better to me. But
it is. I think it's really good. The 8-year is fantastic. The 7-year, I'm telling you, the quality comes through for a. You guys got to think. This is a limited release on this one. That's going to be on the shelf. That's an on-the-shelf bottle.
They announced it that way, but if it actually is that, then I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Because we've been into bourbon now for quite some years, and these bottles are extremely hard to come by, at least in Florida and for us. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Take that as may be, but what did you ask? You asked something, and we interrupted you.
When? Because that happens a lot. Literally, we were having a text conversation
the
other day, and you two were going back and forth, and I was also contributing. No one was acknowledging anything I said. I literally typed the word banana, and you all just kept going like nobody did that. And so I was like, all right, well.
Hey, and I did go back and look, and I'm like, I'll be damned.
Did you not see it?
I saw it.
Not at
you
first.
Didn't see it?
Not at
I
first.
knew John saw it.
I saw it.
Man, that explains a lot.
Dude, but here's the thing, though, man. When you two get going on the chat, it's like bling, 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 bling. And by the time I look at it, I'm like 40 down.
No, that's not the story, Mike. The story is, hey, Mike, how's it going today? Camera. How's it going today? Camera. Hey, Mike, I got a question about the podcast. Camera. That's what was going on that day.
Right. Hey,
and then if you
you literally sent us a question, and then we all went to answer, and you wrote, "The camera looks awesome, though, guys."
I was a little prematurely excited. You know what I'm saying?
It's all good. It does look fantastic.
I thought it was funny because you can always tell when Mike is fired up or excited about something because it'll be one text, and by the time that you get to read it and then maybe respond, there's 7 more texts that come through.
And a lot of them are John, Joe, question mark, Joe.
Well, listen, guys, and you know what? My family tells me the same thing. My family says, why don't you just type one text message and ask all your questions in one text message? And I don't do that. To me, it's like I gotta go bam, bam.
Do you feel like
bam,
you're trying to get it all
bam.
out right at the same time? Like it
Well,
pops in, and you're like, I gotta get it down now.
Sorta, yeah.
Because like sometimes I do that too, but like I'll wait for you to respond, and I'll just kind of remember. Like, and then when you respond, it's like, all right, now I'll ask the next thing.
Yeah, no, I don't work like that.
Yeah, what's funny is I work in the afternoons on with meetings and stuff, and I put my phone down, put it on silent for I think I had 3 or 4 meetings back to back to back, and then all of a sudden I pick up my phone at the end of the meetings. 96 missed texts that I haven't read, and I'm like, man, how do you go back through 96 texts and read? And it's,
Yeah, and then you're reading crap like bananas.
Yeah.
Hey, I think it's hilarious that you missed it. But
I did
But I will
miss it.
tell you. So there
Like
are.
when you said that, I was like, nah. And I went back and I was like, oh crap.
Well, that's exactly why I did it, because I was like, I just want to see. And then when you told me that, John was like, yeah, I saw it, but you didn't really answer. So I was thinking like, oh, he probably saw it too, but he didn't want to say anything.
No, I didn't see it.
And then I can't. I think it's a great thing. I literally just wrote, but you're like, what's the banana doing there?
Yeah, that was that's
good times.
That's a good one, man. What we talked about one time, but it didn't make it through was movies. Remember that one time?
Oh yeah, that is right. I mean, that's a good deal. I mean, especially we're talking about old Fitz and classics. I mean, have you guys ever seen The Shawshank Redemption?
I've seen it. Yeah,
No, because
been a
it's
long
also
time.
4.5 hours long.
Oh,
So I
my
have seen
goodness.
like an hour of it at a time ever,
Ugh.
but different hours.
It is.
I've never watched it continuously.
I think I was actually working at the movie theaters in high school when this came out. Nobody was going to watch it. And so I was like, I'm just going to set in, because sometimes you can set in and think you're watching it. And I got in there, and I was supposed to be checking everything, but I ended up watching it.
So a lot of people watch free movies that day.
Man, you talk about, I was like blown away. I think I was maybe 17. I think between Morgan Freeman and the guy that played Andy Dufresne as the guy's name, I still remember it all the time. It is, I mean, it's awesome. You kind of, the whole story, how everything comes together. It's just, if you haven't seen it, go watch.
So talk about classic movies. What would you say? What would you say is your favorite classic movie?
Define the years of
Yeah,
classic.
I was just.
Are we
thinking
gonna
about
say
that.
we're gonna say before? We'll say before 1995.
Sure.
All right, before 1995 is classic. Joe?
Yeah, because for us, because from like other people, classics might be like Casablanca and that kind of stuff. But I never saw. I'm too.
Honestly,
I'm not
guys,
old enough for those.
The oldest movie that I like is probably The Matrix. Which I think, although I could be wrong with this, and I'll check it, was like 99. So I can't even get to
What?
95.
Dude,
Joe.
Yeah.
you're not that
Does
much
that
younger
sound
than
right?
us, dude.
1999? Probably
Probably.
The Matrix came
yeah.
out.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would say it's probably close though.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say
That's the oldest movie that I like that I can think of.
Wow.
Dude, so like you never saw like
The Goonies.
like Goonies.
I've seen them, but you said like my favorite movie.
They don't like those though.
Oh, you know
like
what?
Sandlot?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I take that back. Breakfast Club.
There you go.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
There you go.
So Tom Hughes, is that who it was?
That wasn't Tom Hughes.
No, the guy who
It
directed
was
them.
what's his name?
John Hughes.
John Hughes.
John Hughes. His stuff is awesome. Like I could watch those movies anytime they're on at
Dude,
any time. Like
you guys. Okay, let's go with you. What do you
especially Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
For me,
That one's awesome.
yeah, for me it's the Goonies, man. I'm telling you. Hey, you guys. I love that. I mean, it's just at the time it was very funny. It's like the guy going up, it's like, do it, Chunk. He's talking about the truffle shuffle or whatever. He's like,
Okay, I can't quote these movies. I mean, I just
Yeah,
know
dude.
what they are.
The movie's
oh,
awesome.
I thought it was so funny.
Listen, when I was growing up, I was a huge fan of. A lot of movies like what you just said and you said. But I love Sandlot. That was one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that movie
That's
all
a
the
good
time.
Yeah.
But you guys are forgetting like some major classics, dude. Major classic.
Like what?
Jaws, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park would have been
That's in the early
maybe it
90s,
was like
dude.
92, 93.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Jurassic
that's
Park was
true.
good.
Jurassic
Jaws,
Park.
Jurassic Park.
Jaws. I think
What?
that's debatable.
I lived in Florida, so that was a big one for
Yeah,
us.
I mean, I don't know. I thought Jaws was
I
good.
still don't swim at night because of that
I
movie.
just don't. I never got into Jaws. Like even when I was, I was like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
What? John, was it the first movie you ever saw? Is that why?
No, I just never really got into it, and it never was scary to me. And
Really?
I'll be honest with you, the scariest movie I ever seen, the original Exorcist.
Oh,
Well, I've never even watched that because I've heard that.
My
mom
Lord.
told me that too. I won't watch that movie.
Listen, I went. They re-released it.
It's probably why you don't like scary movies.
like
'cause you watched
25
that one.
years ago. Yeah,
he's carved for life.
Yeah.
Oh, they re-released it, and it's like, I'm telling you, it's like I can steal. Like the power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's they make fun of that all the time, in a lot of skits and stuff. But when I was 20 years old and I watched that for the first time, like I hate scary movies. I don't. I think for me, it's like I can watch stuff that is like going to jump out and scare me and stuff like that, but I don't like anything that's like that, like the possession deal.
Yeah.
And I don't like any type of. I really don't like alien movies either.
I don't like alien movies either.
what?
I don't like alien movies. That's just not for me. I don't. Know.
I don't like alien movies. I'm not a huge like for sci-fi. It has to be believable sci-fi. So I'm not a huge fan of like space sci-fi, but like Black Mirror, great because that's believable.
Okay, you're not a fan, but does it scare you like that?
No, I don't actually get scared.
Because I'm not a fan of.
I don't get scared of any scary movies. Like none of them scare me because it's all just fake.
Dude, listen, man.
Did you watch the Blair Witch Project when it first came out?
Dude,
Yes.
you know it was filmed by UCF students at UCF, right?
Yeah.
Man,
Did you know that?
I did know that. I
yeah,
did know
UCF
that,
students filmed that at UCF.
I'm telling you, I went to the movie theater.
Literally
and watched
on home like video equipment.
Yeah.
They didn't expect for it to blow up, and they filmed that in a woods right outside of UCF.
I was playing the murder trivia whatever on that game, and that was one of the questions was what is the movie? I forgot exactly how they worded it, but basically the question was the movie that had the least cast ever or something like that.
Budget. It was
And
like
the
no budget movie.
something like that. And it was Blair Witch Project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the cast was only like three people or something like that. And
But it literally was just like a joke. They didn't plan for it to do that. They were film students, but they weren't like thinking, oh, this will go blow up and everybody will watch it. But
Yeah.
that didn't scare me though either.
No, you know what? Blair Witch Project didn't really scare me that much, but I agree with you. Like the Exorcist or like The Ring. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, you should see that one, John.
Dude,
That's a good one, bro.
No,
Nope.
don't watch it.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
she
watching
comes out
it.
of the TV and everything.
Yeah, no,
Nope.
dude. Look, dude. Woo!
Did you guys watch the original
Bro,
Poltergeist?
wasn't your wife her for Halloween one year?
Yes, like twice. She was her twice for Halloween, and I had to tell her, listen, there's not a lot of things that get me going, and it's scary wise. And dude, she came out of our room wearing that, and I was like, take that off right now. You can put it on outside. You scare the kids and the neighbors, it's fine. But dude, in the house, because she did it legit.
This is somebody who walks around the neighborhood as Michael Myers every year for Halloween with a knife he scrapes on the ground and chases people with.
I do that. But, it's a whole different thing because, okay, so let's talk about it for a second. Slashers, I can watch slashers all day.
I'm not a huge fan of slashers.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I can watch them.
But they don't scare you, right?
The only thing that ever scared me, slasher-wise, was Nightmare on Elm Street.
I mean, I had nightmares about that when I was real little because I accidentally watched it, because it was on TV.
Listen,
I used to
I used to go to sleepovers, and I'd have to sleep with the mom.
Ah.
I mean, when I say that, I mean that I couldn't watch it with the other kids my age, and I had to go in, and that didn't come out right. But you know what I'm saying, man? You know what I mean?
So I bet you didn't get picked on at all when you were.
No, yeah, they made fun of me. I'm telling, but it does, that stuff scares me, man. Like Freddy Krueger, whoever came up with that. I mean,
think it's awesome.
They're a genius for coming up with it. But for me, it's like I hate that.
Those movies don't scare me. Like Freddy Krueger, Jason,
wasn't it Wes Craven?
Michael Myers,
yeah.
Michael Myers. All those movies, they don't scare me at all. What scares me, and aliens don't scare me either. Like I can watch whatever alien wise is fine. What scares me is, I agree with you, is the possession stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Like Conjuring, like all those movies that you're talking about.
Yep.
Like that I can't deal with because I don't. Dude, for me, it's like that's real. For me, it's like that can actually happen, and I don't want it. I don't even want those images in my brain.
What about
like
now? There's this new sort of edge in scary movies of like AI or robots, right? That want to kill you.
Yeah.
Well, what about those?
That
freak
doesn't
you guys
scare
out?
me at all because I punched that dude in the face. You know,
you just pull the battery out.
I unplugged that thing, dude.
But wait, what about Terminator? Ooh, that was before '95, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Terminator.
Yeah,
that's a great
classic.
movie.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't love the original Terminator.
What?
I like the
Dude.
ones they came out with like later on.
No,
I like those.
You didn't like Terminator 2: Judgment Day? That was
No, I did like
probably
that one.
one of
yeah,
the
but
best.
The very first Terminator, I was like,
Well, I think Terminator 2 is what really set that one off because I
Yeah.
think people didn't really watch that one, and then the second one came out and it blew up.
What was
and you
the
had to go
one
back.
with Christian Bale? The one with Christian Bale.
That was later.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That one was actually pretty good.
That's a Terminator movie.
Yeah, it's
I don't
like
think I've seen
I forget the name.
But that's
of
like
it.
a more recent one, right?
I mean, like mid 2000s
Yeah.
or something. But yeah, it was good. It was pretty good.
While we talk about that, you guys want to do the 10?
Yeah.
And we may or may not finish this bottle, guys.
Dude, when I grabbed that, I was like, we drank that much of it? I didn't
Are
realize.
you? This one's yours, right?
No, that's yours. Mine's 8.
Yeah, we already drank the other one.
No, I'm pretty sure this is yours.
It is. I've had 2 of those. That's the second one.
This was here.
Yeah.
You want to finish? I mean, we may
'cause
finish
remember,
it.
No, I bought the one at Blue Martini in
That's right.
Deltona, and then I
Yeah.
bought the other one down in Kissimmee. So this is the second one.
Well, there ain't much left, bro.
Yeah.
Cool. We could get that one on the wall.
Yeah, we can give it to Mario, our friend that does the.
Dude, you got a backlog for him, right?
Yeah,
Jeez.
he's
got
got.
a
We're not
bunch.
talking about that right now. He's got. Love you, bro. He's got quite a few. I mean, he does work for a living, so I can't be too mad at him.
Well, that's disappointing.
That he works for a living?
No, that I was expecting the 10 to be better than that, and now that I've had the other 2, maybe Heaven Hill.
What's the price difference between 8 and 10?
Well, the 10 was $200.
So like 50?
Yeah, I think both places. I think both times I got it, it was $200.
So it doesn't. Should we do that, or should I do like this?
Wow. That's worse than the 8, I think.
What?
Yeah.
I do too. Now that we've lined them up and we're comparing them, I mean, I for a long time
we've hit this 10 often.
But we
bro.
never hit it with the 8, though.
yeah, and the 7. I
Yeah.
mean, it's again maybe it is something that over time, Heaven Hill has determined that the 7-8 year mark, or maybe even the 9 year.
It makes sense because they probably considered 9 and went down.
Yep.
Might have realized as it got older it was getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you've had some of the older ones, right? You've had 13, 15.
Yeah, but you got to remember that Heaven Hill only started kind of producing his juice like 2006. So anything before that was is a little different. Is different distillery, different ownership, all that stuff. And then you take it back even farther than that, which I think maybe be the 1849 Fitzgerald they used to have. I'm not sure if some of that was still Stitzel-Weller juice. But I mean, it's again, I'm not all up on the history of it, but I know there is a timeline of Old Fitz, and it's been kind of handed down a few times, and I think maybe the mash bill changed, maybe in the 60s or 70s or something like that. But I think from Heaven Hill's standpoint, this has been. I think they came out with that 19 year and the 20 year, like I was talking about, but. The 20 year, I think they even marketed it as Stitzel-Weller juice. I think is how they did it. But
I mean, I think it's good, man.
no,
but I do agree.
It's good.
I think it's good.
But I
just don't
do
think it's
agree.
better.
I do agree. I feel like the 8 to me had just a little bit better mouthfeel, it had a better finish.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one's got a good finish, but that one has a better finish in my opinion.
It does. I mean, I think it does. I think the 8 in the fall, I would be curious to know if those barrels come from the bottom of the rick house because it is so earthy.
That's interesting.
But I think it makes it that much more unique. I think it is, the 8 has been So far, to me, it is good, but that 7-year for a regular offering, I can't tell you another. If we lined up another distillery that had this type of limited release with a regular release bottle, that we would be even talking about the regular release bottle being in the categories. I don't know of any other ones. Like if you look at it, like some of the special release, which would be,
What about Russell's? You think the Russell's 10 would somewhat be in the running? I don't know. Not against the 13 and 15.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No.
I don't even have a Russell's 10 because of that reason.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think the Russell's 10 is a good $40 offering. But if I had to line up the Russell's 10 again, 13, 15,
not even close.
It's not like this. It's not like this to where.
I agree with that.
Especially between the 7 and 8.
What about Willet?
Maybe, but I mean, Willet's, a lot of their stuff, all that stuff's been sourced, so it's like it's not really Willet juice other than the new stuff that just came out.
The brandy,
yeah.
Which you're not gonna. Well, yeah. Buffalo Trace.
No, there isn't anything in Buffalo Trace that I would say that you could line up like this, other than maybe. Well, you can't even do the BTAC stuff because it's not really the same. I mean, I guess you could compare it maybe like.
But you can't compare BTAC with like regular Buffalo Trace, so it's not even close.
Exactly, yeah. And then to have that compared to their special releases is, I'm telling you, Heaven Hill. You heard it here first on the Whiskey Wisemen has hit a home run.
Listen, and I think that we are. I stay up with all the YouTube stuff and YouTubers and stuff, and as of the filming of this, I've only seen one other video made from this bottle, like a review of that bottle, because it's that new.
And speaking of home runs, I was noticing, I don't know, maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw that the Major League Baseball has finally reinstated Pete Rose.
Yeah,
you guys see that
last week? Yeah.
I mean, I
did not see that.
Yeah, I mean, they held it over his head for so long, about the gambling and this and that, and then of course, Pete passed away, and now to say, oh well, we're going to reinstate him, it's like. I don't know. From where I grew up being a baseball fan, and a lot of people are Reds fans, it's I don't know. It makes me feel different about Major League Baseball.
I mean, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I don't know anything about the story.
Yeah.
Is there an Untold on this? That would be nice.
Yes.
Is there really Untold?
Tell someone the story.
Hey,
John,
have you ever watched those? Hey, I know. Have you ever watched those Untolds on Netflix?
No.
Yeah, I just watched the one on.
They're awesome.
Did you guys watch the one on Brett Favre?
No, but I saw it came out.
It's awesome.
Dude, they're so well produced, even if you're not a fan of sports.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a story.
Yeah.
And if there really is one on Pete Rose? Because
I don't know if it's an Untold, but they have a ton of stuff on Pete Rose because he bet on baseball.
Well, tell what happened because I'm not super clear on it.
Yeah, so, I mean,
in a nutshell,
way back in the day, Pete Rose was a great player. Like, I think 3,000 hits, yada, 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 great player. And then I think when he, and again, somebody may have to correct me, but as he moved into kind of managing roles and stuff like that, he actually bet on some games and things like that.
Like while he was managing?
Yeah, so the Major League Baseball, they basically blacklisted him. And they kind of went through this whole deal.
Did they find out if he actually... Would he bet against things he actually had a hand in, or was it outside of like?
I don't know.
Because I do feel like, I mean, I know none of it's probably allowed, right?
Yeah.
But to me, just looking from the outside looking in, I would be like, well, if he was betting on like, it's like a referee betting on a game they're officiating,
right?
I'd be like, yeah, that's
like that one guy. You remember Tim Donahue or whatever his name was? Yeah.
But then if it's like, oh, you're just betting, but you have no impact on influence on the outcome. Like that's a different kind of situation. But I don't know.
Like I feel like if you don't have a
like a direct conflict of interest,
then I feel like it should.
I mean, I guess arguably they'd say, well, because he was probably pretty big up, so you have a lot to say over how they do things. And I mean, speaking of, when you're done, I want to talk a little bit about also how they're re-rigging the college football playoff system after we get 1-2 years of it being fair.
Yeah.
But
well, and I think that, again, if you get a chance to go back and look at that, there is a couple documentaries about, kind of Pete Rose and everything else. It's just when I saw that Major League Baseball, I guess, reinstated him or whatever the verbiage is that basically allows him to be considered for the Hall of Fame. it just kind of pissed me off. I think it just rubbed me the wrong way, mainly because of, you look at what happened with all the performance-enhancing stuff and all the stuff that got tainted in baseball, and then now you can bet on anything. You can bet on UFC fights. You can bet on baseball. You can bet on this. You can bet on that. I understand that maybe there's a problem with a conflict there. If it was something that he was actually managing and this and that.
If you have an influence on the outcome, I think there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but I feel like he was the first really that got found guilty of it, and they that's how
it always is, though. I mean, I even watched about Lance Armstrong on the biking. You ever seen some of the follow-ups from that afterwards?
Yeah.
Because basically you find out that all of them were doing that.
Yeah.
And he was just the biggest one that was the biggest one who was winning. And I mean, he even says that. He says, "Look, I own what I did, and it wasn't the right thing, but in all honesty, everybody was doing it."
Yeah.
And they found out later that was 100% true.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's a great transition to college football playoff because they basically just legalize cheating in the game essentially.
So
and the whole.
I'm not a big football. I mean, I like watching football, but I don't know a lot about the.
Well, let me walk you through a little bit of history, and John, you can jump in here and correct me if I'm wrong. So, I'm a huge college football fan. More recently, right? So I'm not going to go like way back, but more recently, initially you had essentially a system where a committee, which was a committee of coaches and like people who know about the game and stuff like that, will rank order the teams, and that's where you get like when you hear about top 25. That's how it's being determined. It's not strictly on loss-win record. So you could have 5 teams that are all 11-1. One of them could be ranked second, another one could be ranked 15th, and a third one could be not on the rankings at all, because they take into account supposedly a bunch of like qualitative indicators that aren't just win-loss, but like strength of conference.
Isn't part of that that whole thing how they did the year before?
This is how they always do the rankings. This is still the case, how they do them. It's a committee. They vote. Whoever gets the most votes, number 1, second most, next, number 2. They would talk about crazy stuff like the eye test. That was my favorite. I remember saying, "Oh well, we didn't," because when this stirs up controversy is always when you have a team that is undefeated and another team that's undefeated, but maybe one is in the SEC and one is in the ACC. So that's where a lot of this stuff.
UCF.
This actually was the controversy with UCF. So that's always the case, and I don't actually think anybody actually has an issue with that. As a ranking system, we're like, okay, that makes sense. Like, you can't treat all the conferences equally because certainly it's the case that, some conferences are playing harder teams than other conferences, right?
Yeah.
But what was happening for a long time was that based on those rankings, you had the top 4 teams that would basically, go 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and then whoever wins those plays for the championship.
Yeah.
And the problem with it was that the rankings were always, most of the people that were contributing to the rankings were like SEC coaches, and it was like always 3 SEC teams and like 1 team from another conference or Notre Dame. Notre Dame always gets a pass because they're not part of a conference and they also produce a lot of revenue. Because when you're not independent, what happens is you only get to pick part of your schedule. The other part of your schedule is determined by the conference. So if you're in a conference, you have to play a minimum number of games against your conference opponents. But if you're Notre Dame and you're independent, guess what? You get to pick all your opponents. How is that a thing? What other sport is there where a team gets to pick their opponents and then gets automatic bid for top 4 by being a one-loss team? That's not a thing.
Well, I mean, Notre Dame was very deserving. I mean,
Anyway, so...
I mean...
So, and every time the Notre Dame gets into up there, they always lose because they're not deserving. But that's how it was. You had this top 4 system, and this is where UCF got burned, right? Because basically UCF's undefeated. They don't make it in the top 4 because they're in a weaker conference. And so then, a few years go by, and then they move out this, what we have now, which is the 12-team playoff system. Mm-hmm. So the benefit of the 12-team playoff system was like, it was going to be more comparable to like what you get during March Madness with college basketball, which is you can be seeded 12th and be a no-name team that no one's ever heard of, like, Liberty University or something, right?
Yeah.
What?
And in theory...
you can't say Liberty University.
Why?
Because Hugh Freeze or whatever his name was up there. What's the guy that plays for the Titans? Malik Willis or whatever, quarterback came out of Liberty. Come on, man.
Okay. Well, name one team that Liberty plays, John.
Well, they play JMU, I think, and maybe Virginia Tech.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay.
But I'm not even knocking them. I'm saying, so it was if you got 12th seed, if you were Liberty University, regardless, you had a shot at the championship.
You did.
Because if you beat all of your opponents on the way to the top, you're going to be in the championship, which is a fantastic outcome. Because I believe if you're the underdog and you do that, like the Knicks right now, shouldn't even be in the playoffs, but they're on their way to the finals, right?
That's right.
So, anyways, super excited. I thought that was like a great way. The way they set that 12-team playoff up, though, because people were like, well, how are you going to decide the 12 teams? Well, the first 4 teams was there's something called like the power conferences, basically. And so if you won your championship in your conference, if you were part of the power conferences, then you had an automatic bid at one of the 4 seeds, and you got a bye week, right? Which makes reasonable sense. If you win your conference and you're the champion of all the teams that you had to play
In your conference,
you should probably be in the top 4.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's how it was last year. I can't remember if it was the year before. I don't remember the first year they rolled this out. But anyways, I thought that's great. Okay, and then the rest of them are seeded based on where they're ranked by the committee. Seems like a very fair system. Everybody gets a fair shake. So today they announced that no longer will they allow the top 4 seeds who win their championships be who automatic bids in those top 4 seeds. Now the top 4 will just be determined by whoever the committee selects as top 4. And if you know the history of the committee before he jumps in, the history of the committee is stacked by current and former SEC coaches who have a vested interest in making sure that the SEC stays within the top 4. So what you're going to see is the same thing you saw every year when they had a 4-team system, which is 3 teams are going to be SEC, and the 4th one is going to be either from the Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC, or that's it, or the ACC, and then or Notre Dame, right? And Notre Dame has like an honorary distinction with ACC and the college football. But anyways, it's just rigged. It's like basically they decided, well, we didn't like who the top 4 were last year, who all won their conference champions. So we're just going to decide by committee who gets to be in the top 4. What other sport gets to decide by committee?
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a pure revenue play.
Doesn't March Madness get picked by a committee for the basketball?
Yeah, but there's like 50 teams that can make it into it, right?
Yeah, there's more than
that. More than that. But it's still, everyone gets a shot.
Yeah, but they get seeded.
Who cares? The seeding's not the part. The problem is who gets seeded where.
So you're saying that
if you win your conference championship, you should be in the top 4.
No.
There's only 5 power conferences.
No.
Yes.
No.
I mean, I'm going to have to side with Joe on this one.
Why, if you're the champion of your conference, should you not be in the top 5?
If my conference is how many teams? 8? 6, 5, 10?
No, the conferences they're like 12 to 15.
Okay,
so what?
In my conference, if I beat all 12
you don't
teams
play all
in my
of them.
conference,
You only play some of them.
whatever. So say
all the
10,
ones you play.
Whatever.
Yes.
If I won my conference with the best record in my conference, I believe
you should be personally in the top 4.
That I should be in the top 4, with like a Final Four.
But the problem I have with that is that just because you won your conference doesn't mean that you are a top 4 team.
Okay, John, what does mean you're a top 4 team? Because this is where things get good.
So,
being in the SEC, does that automatically make you a top 4 team?
No, I mean I think strength of schedule is. So if you're a team like in the ACC that the strength of schedule is going to be.
Ooh, this is going a great direction. I love
really,
this direction.
really worse than
Mm-hmm.
anybody else. Like for instance, it's just I mean the prime example is like you have somebody like Clemson.
Yeah.
And they make it, and then they get slaughtered the first game.
Yeah.
But they deserve. You're saying that they deserve a top 4 pick
if they win their conference championship, they should be in the top 4. Yes.
But then they get slaughtered, and then they go home, and
that's it.
I know, but what I'm saying is that.
But you're arguing a strength of schedule. Let me tell you what's wrong. with
Is that correct though?
Yes. Let me tell you what's wrong with the strength of schedule argument,
don't know.
Mike, because this is the part I left out. Who decides the strength of a given team's schedule?
I don't know.
I'm sure it's a calculation based on
the team does. Because let me tell you how this works, Mike. Let's say that you're Alabama, and you're at the. This has happened.
I do know that Alabama is always at least ish.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They used to.
But let's say you were Alabama back when Saban was there.
Yeah.
Okay. These schedules are built out 3, 4, 5 years in advance. Okay.
Yes.
So you're Alabama. This is a true story. I don't remember. This may not be the right details, but this totally happened. UCF is an up-and-coming school. They're on your schedule in 2 years, okay? Because Alabama has a vested interest in saying, well, we're going to play all of our conference opponents who are going to be hard to beat, And then the way that the smaller schools that aren't as good end up on their schedule is they pay those teams money to play them, basically, right?
Yep.
So you're Alabama, and you take a bid with us because we're not very good right now. And you say, yeah, in 2 years we'll play you. We'll play you 2 games at home, and then we'll play 1 at your place. So you get 3 years. But then UCF rises to prominence over the next 2 or 3 years, is undefeated for 2 or 3 years, and Alabama says, oh, crap. Like, we said yeah because they were like a nothing team that we knew that would be an automatic win on our schedule. But now they're a little competitive. Do you know what Alabama can do?
Say no.
Yeah. Never mind. And did it. Multiple teams did it. Texas did it. Alabama did it. So when you're talking about strength of schedule and you can do that, then you have no argument. Now, if they change the rules and they say to teams, you can't do that anymore, I will 100% be on your side. And I will say strength of schedule matters now. But that's not what they do. They take on these weaker teams. The weaker teams build up, and then they knock them off their schedule because they're like, well, that hurts us if we lose. And that's a rigged system, man.
Is that what happened when UCF beat Auburn
Yes.
and not Alabama? Because Auburn beat Alabama?
Well, no, Alabama wasn't on our schedule that year, but we did get knocked off of Texas' schedule for the next 2 years. And that's bad for us because we want to play the harder teams so that we don't have to deal with the strength of schedule argument, but we get knocked off of their schedules when we're good. That's not a fair thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair, John?
Well, we're not going to be good next year, I'll tell you that.
I know. Dang,
No,
Joe.
but John, do you think that's fair on a strength of schedule argument?
I think that the issue is if you're playing in conference schools. I'm not talking about the one-off like you're talking about. I mean, that's a good example of why, but week in, week out, if you're playing a conference schedule, you can't tell me that playing in the ACC or the Mountain West or whatever the other conference is, week in and week out, that is as competitive as the Big Ten
I don't disagree with that.
And the SEC.
I don't disagree with that. How should the Mac-12 or the Big West, how should they give themselves a competitive shot then at being in the top 4?
Then they have to play top teams.
How do they do that, John?
I'm telling
They
you.
can't because
people
those top
do it all
teams,
the time.
No, they cannot do that because those top teams have the ability to knock them off their schedule.
I'm just saying.
No, you're saying what ESPN says, and I understand they say that, but it's just it's a
saying
crap
what ESPN
argument
says.
because you sound like Nick Saban right now. That's what he says.
And what is a successful season for UCF this year?
Winning season.
For expectations.
8-4.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
8-4?
Yeah.
They won't even beat West Virginia this year.
No, you're saying 8-4 is they won't meet it.
No, I don't think they'll win 5 games.
It's a set. 8-4 is my expectation for this year.
I don't think they'll win 5 games. They're going to beat the first.
On record, let's go.
They're going to beat the first 2 teams. Who is it? They're playing like Arkansas A&T Specialty Division School. Who is that? Who are they playing?
I don't actually know that.
In a high school game.
Yeah,
Stetson.
yeah,
Stetson has a football team.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, for me, it's like if they. They pad the first half of the season, so they're going to have.
They always do that.
But you're just talking about the same thing that Alabama does. Imagine if UCF played legit teams every single week.
I agree with you on that, but if UCF shouldn't have the ability to do this either. They should equally not have that ability to do that, but they do because the system still allows it. Do you know why the system still allows it? So that Texas and Alabama and Notre Dame can decide their schedules and end up somewhere in the top 4. That's why.
Yeah. We now have Whiskey Wisemen stickers, which are pretty cool. So, maybe there'll be a merch store coming down the pipe here, but...
we're setting it up now. It's going to be the whiskeywiseman.com. So.
Nope, there we go.
Yep.
Whiskeywiseman.com. It's
Hey,
coming.
you tell us what you guys want. We'll get some stickers, some hats.
Shirts. Glens.
Yep.
Glens,
Whiskey
whatever
Wiseman
y'all
Glens.
want, we'll put it on the store.
That's right. Yeah,
Yep.
we're looking at, maybe some different options of T-shirts and stuff like that. Maybe the Whiskey Wiseman with something on the back.
I like this one. You guys,
It's off-brand, bro.
you guys don't like this one,
because it's
man.
off-brand. That's not our logo,
What do you
bro.
mean? It's not about a logo. It just says Whiskey Wiseman.
Yeah, but it's look at our logo, man.
Well, I know our logo is freaking hilarious.
It's
in my
awesome.
opinion. But
It literally looks like us, just as cartoons.
It does.
yeah. But also our Glens match the shirt.
We should get Glens with that logo.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that that's gonna look all right because
Oh,
it's got
gonna
faces and stuff.
It's gonna look awesome, dude.
It's gonna be weird on
If they
on
do it
Glens.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can give it a shot. Yeah, but we're gonna have some cool stuff for sure coming down the pipe.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to it. Again, appreciate the like, comment, subscribe. We're going to have, a few more content's going out. Make sure you check in on our shorts and things like that from the podcast.
Facebook,
we noticed
Instagram.
actually this week we got a couple of trolls. We're super stoked, guys. We
Yeah.
really appreciate you trolling us, because you know what the thing about the algorithm is, they don't read what the comment is. So if you comment, we get all kinds of promotions and stuff. So keep them coming. Whatever you don't like, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
we also do work out. Look at these bottles.
It's
like this is a bicep curl right here. You know.
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking about.
Some guy said, "Put down the bourbon, pick up the weights."
Right here. This is my weight.
And I laughed. I laughed out loud so hard when that happened, because you know that guy was being serious, and we just don't give a crap.
Well, I do appreciate the listeners out there looking out for our well-being. And,
yeah, there were some that were seriously, legitimately concerned about my sleep apnea.
Yeah, well,
we
we were seriously concerned.
But I felt like we nailed it down when we started saying like, no, he got it taken care of.
Yeah, we nailed it down when Johnny D kept hammering him. You need to go to the doctor, Joe. You need to go to the doctor.
He does have a machine now.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And so does John.
I get awesome sleep.
I love mine.
And you know who else needs one?
Yeah.
This gentleman right here.
This guy right here.
Apparently, I need one also
Yes.
because my wife and my two friends say so.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
PSA, he may not be, what was it you said? Down devil, quite like me.
Yeah,
but
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I don't
scared
quit
me.
breathing for 5 minutes
I was upset I didn't have any holy water. You know what I mean?
you thought it was one of those scary movies.
It was. I was like, "What, man alive? Who's filming this thing?" Thanks everybody for listening in and for being a part of this adventure with us, and also happy Memorial Day weekend.
That's right.
Make sure remember the veterans, and we remember everybody that we've we've lost through the deal. So hope everybody has a safe and enjoyable weekend. Long weekend. Most people get 3 days, so I hope you enjoy that. Spend it with family, friends, loved ones. Make it memorable. And thanks everybody. Thanks Joe and Mike for the back and forth, and continually to make sure that UCF is the the number one team this year in the Big 12. We'll see.
I'm sorry I yelled at you.
No, I mean he only yelled a little bit, and
he's just very passionate.
It's so rigged, dude. But anyways,
yeah. But thanks everybody. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
dude, I yelled so loud you were not going to cheers me.
I know.